Hi everyone, this is Mehul and warm welcome to all of you. Starting from today's class, we will be approaching and learning the field of mathematics called algebra. Algebra comes from a word which is Arabic word al-jabr, which literally means reunion of broken parts. Reunion of broken parts. Before we start using this fantastic tool of mathematics, we just need to understand what is it all about. So algebra is a field of mathematics where you would have already seen x, y, z, such kind of letters, English alphabet letters that we use to solve problems of mathematics. In some ways, algebra deals with manipulating these all symbols. Throughout several sessions, we will be discussing two main branches of algebra, and these are, one we will be calling it as elementary algebra, and the second would be abstract algebra. Of course, in elementary algebra, we will be dealing with equations mainly, and we will learn about linear equations and quadratic equations, right? Abstract algebra is the field where we will be studying about the sets. So without further ado, let's begin our journey of problem solving, especially the problems that can be solved using algebra. Consider the following very simple statement. Add 8 to me and I turn into 10. Can you guess who am I? You'll find similar questions, but of course much more complex questions that you will have to solve. But to just understand the basic idea, I have selected a very simple problem. So when you generally have to solve this problem, it is mainly about something which is unknown in the problem that has to be found, and these kind of unknowns are generally represented by variables. And when I say variables, I do mean that we just use some letter x, y and z. Actually, the letter x historically also came in such a way that suppose you don't know something, you call that person or the thing that you have to find as x, and that you use x or y or z just because you don't know what that is, right? So to tackle such kind of problems, what you do is you basically break the question, if it is a longer question or statement, into some subparts. Like in this case, add 8 to me, I turn into 10, and can you guess who am I, are three different parts of the question. So what we have to do now is we have to convert these statements into mathematical language, and mathematical language is actually the language of algebra, right? So just look at this first part, add 8 to me. So it says that you have to add 8 to something. Now this something is not known, hence what we will do is we will label that as unknown variable or x, right? So let's write that as x, and you're saying add 8 to me, so you're adding 8 to that me which is unknown, which is x in this case. Now read the second statement, the second part. It says I turn into 10. So if you add something 8 to that me which is unknown, it turns into 10. So what you're doing, you're trying to use equal to sign and say that okay, this guy x plus 8 turns into 10, right? So you kind of formed an equation in this case x is your variable, and this equation is linear because the power of x is 1. So for linear equations you have power of variables is 1. Of course, the next step is to basically solve this equation. So you can subtract 8 from both the sides of the equation. So you have x plus 8 on this left hand side, subtract 8, and 10 minus 8. So you basically 8 minus 8 0, so x equals to 2. So in this case the unknown is now known and it is 2. Now here 2 is also called the solution of the equation that was given out here, and if you want to check whether this is real solution or not, you can actually put the value of 2 in this equation. So if you take this equation, okay, I'll just write the equation out here. X plus 8 is equals to 10. You put, instead of x, you put the value 2. So 2 plus 8 equals to 10. You will see that the equation satisfies. So let us summarize what we just did. We will generally have these kind of questions or puzzles as questions. We'll have to break them into parts and then read each part. Once we try to understand each part, we have to try to convert them into each part and convert and eventually get an equation or something. And once we have the equation, the rest part is the mathematics, solving the equation and getting the roots of the equation, which is kind of getting the values of the variables x and y or z. If the equation is in 2 variable, you will have 2 values to be found. If the equation is in 1 variable, you just have to find x. So let's look at a few more problems. Let's consider this first statement. On subtracting 13 from 3 times of a number, the result is 8. Read this carefully. Try to break this. On subtracting 13 from 3, this is one part, but 3 times of a number. So this is a long part and this is our unknown. So we don't know what this number is. The result is 8. We'll look at this part later on. So first just try to decode the first part. On subtracting 13 from 3 times of a number, let this number be x, and then you read in this order here. So 3 times of a number, so your number is x, 3 times of a number is going to be 3x, subtracting 13 from this number, which is this 3x. So subtract 13 from this, what the result is 8, so you get the result 8. So what you are doing is you are essentially mathematizing the entire problem into an equation. Now once you have this, then it is simple to solve this equation by using simple mathematics. Let's read the second statement. 2 times a number increased by 5 equals 9. This is a fairly simple statement as opposed to the earlier one. The earlier one was little bit complicated because the logic you had to use was in reverse order. You have to kind of subtract 13 from the 3 times of a number. In this case 2 times a number, so that number is your unknown x, and 2 times, so it is 2x, increased by 5. Increased is generally used in terms of addition, so you add 5, so you increase that number by 5 and this gives you 9. So this is your equation for this particular statement. See, in these kind of questions, the first win is to write the correct equation. If the equation itself is incorrect, if there is some problem in your equations, then you will even if you know how to solve the equations or do the algebra, you won't be able to get the correct answer, right? So once you frame the right equation, that is the first and most important part. Once you do that, it is just about doing simple algebra. In this case, for example, you subtract 13 from both the sides, so 3x minus 13, or you add 13 from both the sides, so you'll get 8 plus 13. So this 13 and 13 minus 13 is going to be 0, so you have 3x, and then you divide the whole equation by 3. In this case, for example, you have 2x, so you have plus 5, you subtract 5 from both the sides, 9 minus 5, and this is going to be 0, and again then after that what you do is you divide the whole equation by 2 and you will get the answer for x. So eventually you have to find the value of x in these kind of equations, right? And I'm not going to show you how to solve this equation because I already assume that most of you know how to solve linear equations. So let's straight away head and solve a few problems. Consider the following problem, most widely used, most widely asked. So in this question, and you'll have a lot of questions related to ages, okay? So after 20 years, Manoj will be 5 times as old as he is now. Find his present age. Pause this video for a moment and try to solve this problem. So if you have solved the problem, I know the process that you would have adopted would be something like this. Break the problem into parts after 20 years. So this is about after 20 years, Manoj will be 5 times as old as he is now. Find his present age. Now in this case, the present age of Manoj is not known. So let's call that present age as x. So if you decode this first part of the question, after 20 years, so after 20 years, if present age is x, after 20 years the age would be x plus 20, right? So after 20 years, this x plus 20 represents the first part, and it says that after 20 years the age of Manoj will be 5 times as old as he is now. So he is presently x years old, 5 times will be 5x. So this is your equation which you need to basically solve, right? So to solve this, what you do is you subtract x from both the sides. So x plus 20 minus x equals to 5x minus x. Plus x and minus x would be 0. So 20 is equals to 5x minus x is 4x. So divide both the sides by 4. So you get x equals to 20 by 4, which is your 5. So the age of Manoj is 5 at present. So let us solve another problem very quickly. Consider this question. A girl is 28 years younger than her father. The sum of their ages is 50 years. Find the ages of the girl and her father. You might feel that there are two unknowns out here, like the age of the girl and father's age, both needs to be found. But in this case, we already have a relation between the girl's age and the father's age. If you know how to tackle this problem, pause the video and answer this question. So in order to solve this, you have to assume father's age as unknown. Father's age, say if the father's age is x, the girl is 28 years younger than her father. This statement translates into the daughter's age is going to be x minus 28 because she is 28 years younger. Now the second statement said the sum of their ages is 50 years, which means that if you take x father's age, you add that to the daughter's age, x minus 28, this should be equal to 50. So now this is your equation and you have to just simply solve the equation, which is 2x is equals to 50 plus 28. So this will be x equals to 50 plus 28 divided by 2. If you do simple arithmetic, you will see that this number, which is on the top, you have 78 divided by 2, so you will be getting 39 years. And once you have the father's age, it will be very easy for you to find the daughter's age because you already have the equation. So daughter's age is x minus 28. X is already given now, 39 minus 28. So if you subtract 39 minus 28, you will be getting 11 years, right? So you see, you found the ages of father and daughter both. So if you're able to understand these questions, I think you will be able to fairly solve equations or the questions based on linear equations. So what you need to do now is go online and solve similar problems which you will find on some Google form. And if you're able to solve this question fairly well or fairly quickly, you can directly transit and solve some brain teasers which are also present on a different form. So see you tomorrow, guys. We'll be tackling problems which are even difficult. We'll move from linear equations to quadratic equation or some more complex problems. See you. Bye bye.